A week ago, I came across this blog, which of course you can find on Tech Community under Yammer, and it was about 10 Yammer groups considered to be the backbone. Yammer wasn't well adopted in South Africa, and it's always difficult to explain the use of something if you don't have business case for it. And this was such an incredible blog that gave me a lot of great ideas and pretty much inspired this blog that I decided to do to show you how you can use these different Yammer groups to enhance and to better the communication in your company. So what I did is I created a Yammer group for some of these. So I created one for CEO Connection, one for diversity and inclusion, new hires, and innovation as well. So when I go to Yammer, you'll see there is my groups on the left-hand side. Also remember that Yammer now uses Office 365 groups, which means it creates a SharePoint site collection in the background. So the CEO connection group is very important for me, and it doesn't just have to be the CEO. Of course, it can be your management, and that's the communication that goes out across the company. Now, what we definitely want to do is stop sending emails with attachments on it, and if we can use Yammer for that, I'd be so happy. But it's about bringing stuff in where it matters and where it's relevant. So there's my CEO connection. There's some of the other blogs as well. Some of the other groups in Yammer. Now, what I did is I then went on my intranet and I created a page. I just called it the Yam in between. And on this, I added the various other groups that I think is important in the company because it's difficult to add all the groups in the specific places. So the CEO connection I can, but I wanted to bring in the other groups as well. So all I did is I edited the SharePoint Online page and I added the Yammer group. So it's pretty easy. I'll just show you how that works. So there we go. If I wanted to add another web part there, I'll just show you how that works. So Yammer Conversations, and on the right hand side, I can actually very easily just type for the Yammer group that I'm looking for. So I can say diversity inclusion, and I can say how many conversations it must show. On these type of pages, I never show more than 4. So I'm going to just discard those changes. So I built the SharePoint page on the intranet, but I don't want people to have to navigate to the intranet to get to the news. We need to start changing how we do technology. I think we had adoption problems in the past because people had to navigate away from where they work every day. And of course, I'm going to be talking about Microsoft Teams because Microsoft Teams gives me a platform where people can work and collaborate and co-author and have conversations, but also find everything else that's relevant to them. And that includes my SharePoint intranet, and it includes my Yammer conversations as well. So this page that I built, I then went to my Microsoft team, and you'll see that on the team, I added the company intranet. So there's my intranet added, and I used the website app to add the intranet because it's not the same SharePoint site collection that sits behind the team. So I used the website. Please take note that it strips off the top navigation. So if you do have top navigation in your intranet, just add an extra web part at the bottom, like a footer that gives extra navigation to navigate to different places. Then, of course, what I did is I added the CEO connection as well. And for that, I used the Yammer app. So on the team, I can go and say, I want to add Yammer, and then add that specific group to my Microsoft team. And there you can see the CEO connection or the management communications or whatever it is that you want to add here straight on my Microsoft team. I would definitely bring this into the provisioning checklist and have this type of messaging added on every single team that's created. Because of course I believe not everyone should be creating teams, and it should be a central provisioning tool. So please add the communications from your top management on the team by default, add your intranet by default. But then what you can do, because you've built this page in SharePoint, is that I can also add that specific page that has multiple Yammer groups on it. And what I also did on this page is I put a note at the top there and said, is there another Yammer group that we can add here that's relevant to all? Click here to complete the request, and I can fill in a little form, and you can add that web part here. So a pretty cool way to bring the communication into Microsoft Teams. What's nice about this is that if I have the right permissions, I can even add a post right here in my Microsoft Teams. I don't have to navigate away to Yammer or even to SharePoint to do that. So you can see here, I can actually post straight here and say post to Yammer, and I can add a quick note there instead of just going to Yammer. And of course you can click and open this in Yammer as well. So I think this is a great way to bring in the communication into Microsoft Teams. I added the intranet on my Microsoft Teams as a tab. I also added the CEO connection, which is my messaging from the top. And then, of course, I also added the page in SharePoint that brings in the other web parts for other Yammer groups that might be of interest to the company. And the very, very cool thing about this, of course, is that we have the Yammer mobile app, which means that any of these parties can straight from their mobile app post a new conversation or a new item to the Yammer group, and it'll display automatically in this page. And here you can see how easy it is. There's the Yammer app, and it shows me the different groups. It also shows how easy it is to add a conversation, and there you can actually see the CEO connection in my mobile app. I hope you'll enjoy that, and it definitely adds value for me to understand business case of bringing the communication into Microsoft Teams as well as onto my SharePoint Online intranet.